Hey Robert, welcome to the MasterCard Cup. I just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. We'll let that play on through, put you back in your dress position, and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your setup, let's first of all just take a look at your posture. So your spine's nice and straight, it's on a tilt, situated a little too vertically. Legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Your arms then hang down, sort of held out in front of you a little bit, and then the club works out to the ball. So if we were going to work on your golf game here, we would revise your posture a little bit so that we get your spine obviously on a little bit more of an incline. We'll keep your legs unlocked as they are. And then from there, let your arms hang down a little bit more naturally so your hands get a little closer to your thighs, working the club out towards the ball. So we're increasing sort of the angle relationship between your forearms and the club in here. Okay. Also, setting the spine on a greater tilt is very important because your entire golf swing functions about that axis. From here, let's take a look at your alignment. We can see your feet are aimed a little bit left. Carry that out towards the intended target. Now, theoretically, your club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet. Parallel lines on camera would have an appearance to converge. And under sort of that philosophy, we can sort of see that you're set up down the left side of the fairway. From here, there's some things I would like to see in your golf swing from a camera angle looking at you directly on. But I can tell that your golf ball is definitely not far enough forward in your stance. So you want to get the ball for a driver. You want it placed up somewhere near the inside heel of your left foot. You also, at this point, you want to tee the ball up higher so you get more of the about 3/4 of the ball over the roof of the club, because theoretically when we hit woods, it's an ascending angle of attack. So we're sweeping the ball off the ground, or we're sweeping the ball off the tee. Right now you got the ball teed so low that if you do create a sweeping action and the ball gets a couple millimeters off the ground, you've got no room to pick the ball and get the ball on a good spot of the club face. So if you do sweep the ball, the problem is you're going to sweep the ball too low on your club face, and we're not going to get any launch angle or trajectory. So we got to get that ball played more forward in your stance, tee the ball up higher. And then the other thing we need to observe is, make sure that we're resting the driver on the ground correctly. And what that means is that the club is engineered in a way that you're supposed to rest it on its back sole. And when you do that, then we're maintaining the loft the club is made with. With you having the ball back and your hands are probably ahead of the ball, you're de-lofting the club. So that's also not going to help you get the ball airborne either. So there's definitely some adjustments from face on that need to be made. And then the other thing too is you can see that you're flaring your back foot open. The reality is that when we achieve a good setup, the back foot should be square. It should basically be perpendicular. Let me sort of change the line here. It should be perpendicular to your intended target. So it should be at 90 degrees. If any foot is open, it's your front foot. It can flare open a little. Okay? So some adjustments there as well would be ideal. Now as we go ahead and take a look at Jordan Spieth up on the left side of the screen, we have some color-coded lines just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing play. And before we go ahead and take a look at the dynamic move, let's just pay attention to some things I was just talking about. So look at the posture. We can see Jordan, his spine is definitely straighter on more of a tilt, where his sternum and his head are more out over his toes. We can see his feet are running more parallel to his intended target. Arms are hanging better, so the hands are a little closer. We have a better angle relationship between the arms and the golf club. So those are some of the things we were talking about. Not sure if you can really see that his ball is more forward. That's off the instep of his left heel. And definitely look at the golf ball. I mean, he's got 3/4 of that ball over the roof of the club. Now, as we go ahead and take a look at the golf swing, simply want to rotate the shoulders, draw the arms and hands back as well as the club. And we want the club coming back on plane directly along the red line. Also, in the early stages of the golf swing, we want to establish some good wrist hinge into play. And that means we're going to transition the club head currently from below and in front of our hands to getting that club head above and behind our hands. This is a really important transitional move during the takeaway. And then from here, we're working the club from red up towards the blue-yellow V zone. And when we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we want to have either have the left arm in the club situated on yellow, anywhere in between the blue-yellow V zone, or physically up on blue, as we see with Jordan Spieth. We also want to create full shoulder rotation, do this about a very stable right leg, and also maintain the posture, spinal axis that we achieved at address, and that's why this is so important. So I'm going to refer back to this once again. We're going to take a look at Jordan's spine here. We can see that it's set up at about 53 degrees. Well, where was it at address? Well, it was in the exact same position. So we rotate upon that axis, and that's why achieving this posture is very critical versus what we can see with you is you're very, very tall. So now the problem is you're going to be rotating and building a golf swing upon an axis that just, it's too vertical. Okay? As we go ahead and watch you initiate your takeaway here, you pick your hands up and outside, so you're taking the club shaft and the club head out away from the plane. So one of the things you automatically want to do in your golf swing is let your hands, your arms, your golf club, let them swing inside and around you. Yet we have to understand if we're going to swing this golf club back on a proper plane, keep that club shaft camouflaged on the red line, well, the golf swing then functions on an arc. An arc is a circle. It should be working inside of the golf ball, not outside of the ball. So unfortunately, you're sort of picking your hands up outside. Let's see what continues to happen through this zone here. Hopefully we get some wrist hinge into play, get that club head above and behind the hands. So it's starting to work there, so that's good. So that's great there. It's just that your hands and arms are too far out away from your core. You got to get your hands and arms just back in here ever so slightly. Okay? From here, very likely you're probably going to end up taking this back steep, considering that was the initial move. So when you finally get to the top of your backswing, let's see where your arms go here. So yes, when we get to the top of the backswing, you turned your shoulders well. You can see that your right leg is buckling, so unfortunately all your weight is moving to the outstep of your foot. We're not storing the energy on the inside part of our right foot, so there's going to be some lateral motion in your backswing with respect to your lower body. Your arms are obviously getting a little bit steep. Club's still in good position relative to your arms, and I like the triangular position of your arms. It's just everything has to be much more shallow over here in this direction. Okay. From here, as we create our transition back into the ball, simply want to take our weight from our right foot to our left foot, fire our knees and our hips laterally to the target, unwind our core and fire our hands. And in doing so, we want to make sure that we're bringing the golf club from that blue-yellow V zone, wherever we set it, back down onto red. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. We see the golf club returning back to being on plane. The other thing we want to observe at this stage of the golf swing is the relationship between the lead forearm and the golf club. I refer to this as the backwards check mark. This simply means the club head right now is remaining above and behind his hands coming into the hitting zone. This is what's going to allow us to create a lot of power in our golf swing, let alone his ability to hit the ball straight due to the fact that the club has returned back to plane, as we've already pointed out, which is a main criteria in producing straight golf shots. So because you're in a steep position, probably going to be very difficult for you to return this club back down onto plane, the red line, and you'll probably come into the ball steep and from over the top, and therefore attack the ball a little from outside to inside. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So yes, your hands do travel into the ball steep down the blue line. At this point in time, what we can do is mark your club head. We can very clearly see that your club is not returning back towards the red line. And if we go to the next frame, we're going to watch this club just continue to fall out in front. So we go to the next frame, right there the club's really severely fallen out in front, and at this point in time it's going to get stuck outside the ball. So if we connect the dots, we can get a pretty good visual as to exactly what that descending plane, what it looked like, and we can definitely see that it's coming into the ball much more steep than what we see with Jordan Spieth. Again, his club returned back to plane in this frame. That would be about your frame right here, and then from there that club just continues to track into the ball directly from that red line, from on plane. And as I've already pointed out, this is what produces straight golf shots in accordance to our alignment, lastly assuming that the club face squares up via having a good grip. So at this point in time, we can take a look at the path of the club, knowing that the descending planes are vastly different here, and we can, sorry, let me just clear that off the screen for you. We can mark his club head just inside the ball, expands out to make contact, moves through in a nice natural subtle arc. Your club is outside the ball, dropping down and across. Okay, so look at the path at which that club is moving on. Very simply put, if we square the club face up to that path, obviously what's going to happen is we're going to pull the ball in this direction. If we over-release the club to the same path, well, not only do we pull the ball, but then we're going to hit some form of a pull draw or a pull hook. If we leave the club face open to the path, the nice thing is we can block the ball a little bit right of that, and then, obviously face was a little bit open, imparting a little bit of left to right spin, and we hit this nice little butter fade, and there's no issues. If we leave the club face too open, incredibly, we start the ball even further right, even though we're swinging left along the red path. At that point in time, we need to understand that club face is massively open, and we'd be hitting some form of a block slice. So the end result of your golf shot is dictated based on the timing of the club face, with the club attacking the ball from outside, striking the ball, moving to the inside. If we happen to square the club face, it follows red. Over-release the club continues down the smaller red arrows. Leave it wide open, follows blue. Time it properly, it'll follow yellow, and we'll find your intended target. At point of impact or just through impact, the other thing I want you to notice here is that your right foot is still flat on the ground. So we really haven't created any footwork or knee work or hip work back into impact. We can see with Jordan Spieth, his right heel's off the ground. Watch the continued activity in his right foot where he gets fully up off the heel onto the toe. That gets his weight onto his left side, allows his hips to square around, and therefore his shoulders are fully rotated, his hands are high, clubs back in behind him, and he's more than facing the target. With you, let's watch your motion through, see if you end up creating any footwork at all, and we don't there. So one of the things I definitely like to see in your golf swing then, very, very simply, is just learning how to create proper footwork. Right, we're at the top of the backswing, all the energy is on the right foot. Let's just swing through, get off our right heel, up on our toe, stand on our left side. Okay, so that's pretty simple footwork to get ourselves through to a finish and let that golf swing aesthetically look a little bit better coming through. Anyways, overall, you've got some nice athletic qualities with your golf swing. I mean, your hands do work well. They come back and they fire through. Your core works well. You coil, you uncoil. We need more footwork to allow you to get to a better finish, although your upper body's still doing a pretty good job through your flexibility, so that's great. Alignment, we notice, is a hair left, not really that big of a deal. The biggest issue in your golf swing is the fact that you take the golf club outside, picking it up, you get set too vertically, and then when you start your downswing, you're coming over the top, attacking the ball from outside to inside, as we can see here. At that point in time, you better leave the club face open so that we can obviously impart some left to right spin and hopefully hit a fade that stays on line. If we square that club face up, like I said, it's going way left. Under release it, going too far right. So this does require a lot of timing on your part in order to find your intended target. At the end of the day, also, let's get the ball positioned more forward. Let's get it teed up higher, and let's make sure that driver's resting on its back sole. I'm actually pretty impressed with the launch angle you created, considering the fact that your ball's teed a little lower, the ball's back in your stance, and when you strike this golf ball, you still get pretty good launch angle on it. So that's nice there. But you can increase that launch angle when you increase your launch angle and you get your launch angle to integrate itself with proper spin. That's when you can gain another 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 yards on your drives. The other thing too is that in order to maximize your distance, unfortunately the club does have to come down from on plane, and then the face has to square up to the path. Right now you're hitting the ball from an out to in path, trying to leave the face open, and you're going to lose a little bit of power with that motion as well. Okay. Anyways, I hope you had a fantastic day. Hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video. If at any point in time you ever want to work on any of these aspects of your golf game, certainly feel free to reach out. Be happy to get you on a little program there. Okay. Also, if you're involved with any golf tournaments at all, you guys are looking for a unique gift to provide your guests, again, feel free to touch base, and I'd be happy to discuss my swing analysis services with you. Anyways, take care and enjoy the rest of the fall here.